Hello and welcome to episode 97, and I've had a few comments on episode 96 where we looked at the Chromakey backgrounds here in the studio, and some of the suggestions were quite good. Doug Jensen said one thing I'd forgotten, and he was absolutely right, was to take into account depth of field. So he commented that the images behind were too sharp. So that makes sense, doesn't it? Because with the close-up that we've got on this camera, we would expect the background to be a little bit more soft. Whereas if we go to the other camera, we would find that the background would be a little bit sharper compared to the other one. So I've had a look and see if I can sort some of these things out. So let's go back to that first camera. So now we've got the background that we can adjust, and we can make it a little bit softer, a little bit harder, whatever we want. So we've got a bit of option on that. It seems to work better on this particular framing than if we do it on the other camera. So on this shot we can make changes in the background softness, but a shot this wide and with the camera this far away, we wouldn't normally expect to see the background so far out of focus. So I think getting that right is going to be a bit of a challenge. And I've spent a bit of time this morning just preparing some different backgrounds rather than the sort of generic all over the place pictures that we've been using, replacing them with things that are more easy to see the perspective changes, because people seem to be quite interested in this and making it sort of reasonably seamless. And I had another suggestion that the editing workflow might not be too extra complicated if I sort of do it on a template system, and with Premiere having the sort of nested screens, there's no reason why I actually can't have a sort of background screen that I can bring in, prepare the softnesses, prepare the shifts in parallax, and see how we get on. I really don't know. It's an area to certainly play with and see what happens. I've knocked up a Star Trek holodeck style background, which should make the changes in the perspective a bit more obvious. So behind me at the moment, we're on a flat plane. So that's that one. Let's cut to the next camera. On this camera, we've actually got a swivel. I think in actual fact, it's something like 23, 24 degrees. That's what I've picked. It seemed to work the best. And if we go to the final camera, with this angle, you can see that the actual grid is severely distorted, and it's been spun round quite a lot to try and make the grid match the real green screen orientation. Well, my conclusions are that Chromakey backgrounds could well be the thing to do, but the changes to make the background softer, the changes to make the parallax run properly, and then the additional problems it gives with masking, because in this particular studio we've got the green which comes up on the multicams, we've got the greens that poke through from the back, and in some of the shots, like on this particular camera, you can see into areas that really are green, and the keyer is trying to key them out, when in actual fact it would have been better if it didn't. So I've discovered I've had to actually mask out little bits, and it takes a hell of a long time to do it properly. So I'm not sure. The jury's out a little bit for me. But I thought what I would also do is explain what you can do with the backgrounds. Well, I knocked up this background this morning, and basically it's done in a piece of software which is actually free. It's called Mandelbulb 3D, and it's fractal based, but it has roving cameras. So what you can actually do is take an image and then export that frame. You can then move the camera to replicate the difference between my cameras here, shift in and out a little bit if you want to, so you can sort of jig the setup to give you an image from a different viewpoint, and export that one. So I've done 2 or 3 images from different angles. I'll give you the one on the camera 3. So on this camera, with the extreme angle on the screen there. So we can try and replicate that with sort of different sorts of images. but realistically, I'm not sure if I want to spend this amount of time making a video essentially pretty. And I think that's the big problem with doing Chromakey backgrounds. It means I can't really rush in here, do a review on a microphone or a radio or whatever I'm doing, and then get it edited and get it up on YouTube very quickly. As soon as we start adding the backgrounds in, it's adding at least half an hour for a simple one, and probably getting on for an hour to tweak it properly. Now in this video, if you look carefully, you'll see there are some little bits that really needed to be masked out and removed, and my patience ran out trying to do it. So that's the snag. So I don't know. The jury is definitely out on whether I should do it or not. I mean, maybe I should, but it would be far more simple to just remove the green screen and go back to black and dump the lighting in the background. And I think that could well be the way I go. Difficult. If you like the Chromakey one better, just let me know and I'll spend the extra time. But if nobody really wants to have pretty images behind the studio set, I'll just go back to black. Have a good week. Look after yourselves. Take care. See you soon.